Hey friends, it's your pal Mike Shea from Sly Flourish here with another episode of Sly Flourish's Lazy GM Prep. In this show, I go through steps from Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master while preparing for my Sunday role-playing game. In this case, I am running a Kobold Press Midgard campaign called Scourge of the Dragon Empire using the Tales of the Valiant system. So we have a Kobold Press Tales of the Valiant version of 5e that we're running and a Kobold Press campaign world called Midgard, and then one particular region of this world called the Dragon Empire, and then our own version of this campaign. This show, like all of the work of Sly Flourish, is brought to you by the patrons of Sly Flourish. Patrons get access to all kinds of tips, tricks, tools, the 5e artisanal database, lots of stuff that you get for being a patron of Sly Flourish, a whole dedicated podcast called Readings and Reflections, and more. You get access to our awesome Discord server where you can hang out with other lazy GMs and talk about this awesome hobby of ours. And you help me put on shows like this. To the patrons of Sly Flourish, thank you so much for your outstanding support. So last week, our characters, the main arc that we're in our game is the characters are traveling to a ruined city, a small city called Coppervein, which used to be run by goblins long ago before the Dragon Empire took over 400 years ago and basically destroyed the city. Then the Dragon Empire used it for a little while, and then a meteor crashed down that then created some kind of weird, otherworldly force, and the Dragon Empire basically just abandoned it and left it alone. So for hundreds of years, it's been left alone with this weird alien force there. But they learned the Dragon Empire is always seeking powerful artifacts lost in the lands that they control. So Adasha, the dragon of the eastern side of southeastern side of the Dragon Empire, has sent a group to acquire a powerful magic item said to be lost in the ruins of Coppervein, a helm of teleportation. Our characters learned that the Dragon Empire, that Adasha of the I forget what his full name is, Adasha, the Burning Sands, I think he's called, that Adasha has sent artifact hunters to go find this artifact. So they want to go grab the helm as well. They've done a bunch of stuff in the west. They've caused all kinds of chaos in the west. So now they're traveling east to acquire this item. The characters, upon arrival, found out that the Dragon Empire, that the forces of Adasha had taken over a watchtower called Stonewatch. And they said, instead of having the Dragon Empire at our back, why don't we go and take care of the Dragon Empire, the agents of the Dragon Empire that are here, mercenary company called the Singing Swords, and the dragon, the actual dragon ruler of them, a young blue dragon named Darkstar, who was in control over was commanding these groups to go find the artifacts. So they went to Stonewatch. Darkstar, as they were approaching, they saw that there's secret tunnels below. We're going to go through the secret tunnels below the place to infiltrate it and then figure out what goes on over there. Darkstar flew away. So they said, good, Darkstar's there. So we can take care of everything else and then we'll worry about Darkstar, however we worry about Darkstar. So they traveled up through the secret tunnels. They found out that there was all kinds of undead and nasty stuff below. That's partially caused by this weird corruption that occurred from this meteor that landed here. So the characters made their way up through the top. Then they started dealing with the Singing Swords. They managed to fight off some Singing Swords guards. They found that the guards had some prisoners who they were conscripting to send them into the city because they didn't want to go in because they knew that people that go into the city don't really come out very well. So they met with the group that was there. Then they battled. Then they started fighting the guards. And during the battle, one of the characters cast Call Lightning, which sent a big blast of lightning down from the sky and hammered into the ground. And I did this little cutscene of Darkstar on the other side of the city, who's kind of watching what's going on in the city, trying to figure out what's going on there. He's watching this this creature mutate in front of him. And then he sees this big blast of lightning, and he sees the blast of lightning. He's a dragon, right? He's a blue dragon in particular. He sees the blast of lightning. He looks up in the sky. He sees there's no storm here. And it just landed straight in our thing. And he takes flight. And the character's like, oh no, here comes Darkstar. Darkstar's on the way back. So they're running around fighting. They fight off some bandits. And then what ended up happening in the last session was a single 3-hour multi-wave battle, which I think the characters really dug. Everybody remarked that it sure wasn't a shopping episode was I think one of the descriptions of it, because they started off by fighting a bunch of the Singing Sword mercenaries, bandits and veterans. Then during that, a door opened and a mage came out. He's the sage that works for Darkstar that was trying to find the artifacts and stuff like that. And he's like, oh my God, he closes the door. and he sets up a trap on the door. He spoke a command word that fired off a glyph of warding. And then I think one of the other guards, when they were getting battled, tried to run through the door and destroyed himself by getting blasted and killed by the own door. And the players really enjoyed the fact that one of the guys killed himself on his own trapped door, that one of the veterans killed themselves on the trap door that the mage had set up instead of them having to deal with it. So then they burst in the room. They get Kona colded by the mage, and they're like, oh man, this is rough. And so they're fighting the mage. They're chasing the mage up multiple stories of this place. I actually have the map. Let me pull the map up here. I don't really need the map much today, because they've really taken care of everything at this point. Spoiler, everything got taken care of. So this was the map. So they were down on the mid-level. There we go. That way you can kind of see. Actually, we can make this a little bit bigger because we don't need to see that left side because that was the other session. So this was the map that they were using. There was also an open roof because Darkstar, the dragon, flies in at his own level. So I modified this a little bit, but basically they went to that upper left area. That leads to the mage's quarters, which is this upper right area. The mage goes running over to the window and he's yelling out the window like, we need help, right? And the characters are dealing with the mage. And then Darkstar lands on the roof and he starts tearing open the roof and the characters are running around. So half the characters are down below. They're fighting the two leaders of the Singing Swords, two bandit captains of the Singing Swords. And then meanwhile, Darkstar's up above. So then they managed to take care of the two bandits pretty easily. So the dragon drops down, and the dragon is, and they're fighting a dragon on top of everything else. So they fought a mage, they fought a dragon, it was basically like 4 waves of monsters. And it was really hard. And they pulled it off. They defeated the dragon and everything worked out. So now, and that was where the session ended. The session ended with Darkstar falling. So we have a very straightforward, strong start today, which is going to be a little bit more relaxed. I'm not going to have, I don't know. I might have one member of the Singing Swords come running in the front door, right? And say Darkstar, they're intruders. And hello. And that way they've got a person they can talk to, right? We can have some NPC interaction. So we are going to jump over to Obsidian and we're going to get our notes ready for today. So today I'm using Obsidian for doing my notes. If you want to learn more about Obsidian, you can learn more about it and for game prep, you can use it. You can figure it out. You can find the link to it down in the show notes. So Emmert is in, I think, and Cal is out. So I think we have 6 today. And our characters today are Amavin. Amavin is our resident rogue. Is there any interesting thing that Amavin might know about this? Probably recognizes that it'll be a few days or even weeks before Adisha learns of Darkstar's fall. So they've got a little bit of time before they have to worry about Adisha becoming aware that Darkstar is dead. Odenzia can feel corruption of the void here and around Coppervein. Mateo is the mechanist. Gaudenzia is the druid. No, Gaudenzia is a ranger. We have 2 rangers, Emmert and Gaudenzia. Jumping down to Emmert, got revenge for the fall of his village, or at least some revenge, right? His village was overtaken by the dragon, and now they've killed a dragon for it. That's pretty good. Mateo, as a mechanist, what is there any mechanisty sort of stuff? He's also kind of a celestial. Probably also feels the void corruption here. The meteor was not of this universe. Rowan is the fighter. Knows that mercenaries really are a bunch of jerks. Right, they're different than those that were conscripted to fight for the Dragon Empire. Mercenaries, are willing to sell human pain for money. And Tolstoy, as a mage and as a potentate of Mott, as he's looking through the books of the wizard, he might discover something. So who was it that probably stashed the helm down under the... why was it put here? Who put it here? Was it put here pre-Dragon Empire? I think there's a story. There's a story to why the helm is in a vault underneath the arena. But I don't know what it is. And I don't know how old it is. So if goblins were ruling over this place, was it a goblin mage who made the helm? We could just do that, right? And we're going to go to our Chisholm monster database here. We're going to come up with an NPC. Jedva. Steel Thorn. That's pretty good. Constructed the helm centuries ago. His tomb, along with the helm, lies beneath the Arena of the Red Sun, the Colosseum of the Red Sun. I can never spell Colosseum right. There we go. It's close. So, yeah, that gives us a little bit of history here, and we're tying that secret directly to one of the characters just because we have a character. That way we can, remember the character's a mage and a wizard. There's probably a spell book. So I think one of the treasures. So the treasure today. Let's take a look at the treasure I had ready last time. I don't think we used any of this treasure last time. So I think this is pretty good. These are all pretty good. But one other thing, though, that we'll drop in here is a spell book. And one of the features of the lazy artisanal, of the 5e artisanal database is a spell book. So you can say, like, what level was the guy and give a bunch of spells. Oh, no, the wizard, let's see. So he was probably, he wasn't 6th, he wasn't 11th level. He's probably 9th level. So we can drop in a bunch of spells. These are the spells, and I'm going to replace one of these. Let's see. I'm going to replace Wall of Force is so good. Man, do I want him to have Wall of Force? Sure, why not? But I'll replace Black Tentacles because he had Cone of Cold, right? Like, I guess we'll just give an extra spell. Is there any one of these I want to remove? It's kind of mean to take away Wall of Force. I'm going to take away Wall of Force because it makes sense. I know he had Cone of Cold because he cast Cone of Cold. And I'm going to do a little bit of text shenanigans here. I'm actually going to use BB Edit for this off screen. But I don't want them all in like a... Yeah, so there's a spell book. I probably am going to drop in some scrolls. And we can actually use Deep Magic for this. I don't know if I want to use Deep Magic for this. Some uncommon ones. It didn't work. These are not Deep Magic. I got a bug in my spell generator. I'll have to fix that. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think we'll use that spell book. It's fine. So a lot of treasure that he had. So the strong start is a singing sword runs back into the keep. He was late. I don't know where he was hanging out at. We will go to NPCs and get another one. Bertram Gravetoes. I like that. I don't know about a rabbit folk. Gnome? We'll just make it a human. So Bertram Gravetoes comes running back into the keep, right? So now you got one bandit, right? After all the dragons and everything like that, they fight one bandit. And they probably won't fight him, and he'll probably immediately surrender, especially after seeing a dead Darkstar, and be like, I hated that guy. He was terrible. And then they might ask some questions. Exploring the tower. And we have a few things that we're going to have in the tower. So we have alien corpse. Dissected alien corpse is one. Maps of the lower trap rooms. We'll have that. What other? So recovered treasure is there. And any other notable spell book. I think we had a name for the mage. I don't remember what it was. Let's go back one more. Thenia Stonecowl. Thenia Stonecowl's spellbook. I think I switched gender on the mage. Oh well. So they've explored the tower. Then I think last time we had I guess it was the time before that, the fungoid earthen meteoroid of the void along the way. So traveling through Coppervein. And then the fungoid earthen meteoroid of the void is along the way, which is the catalyst for the aberrant invasion. And then I think we had a list of critters. This was the stuff that we had for when I wasn't sure that they were going to go to. Yeah, I had a few monsters that I kind of picked out when the characters were. This is the right one? Yeah. Whoops. I had a few monsters that I was thinking about because there's a lot of aberrants. And I'll probably want to pick a few others out. So they'll probably run into some of these things on the way. What was it that last time, though? Because I went and looked them up. A Satyr. That's right. If we go to our monster vault, yeah, these guys. The Devourers. They're like locust lizards. I think they're kind of like alien, weird alien things from they're void-based and apocalypse. Bringers of the apocalypse. Satyr destroyers look pretty good. So if I go to, let's see, I'm gonna make a new list. I think we liked Insatiable Broods. Yeah, these guys are cool. They're very mean. And then I had Morto Vermis. What are those? Yeah, these guys are cool. Chul, Satyr, Insatiable Broods, Morto Vermis, Abolithic Thralls, the people of the sands who are still there and alive. That beats the list that I had, so we're gonna keep that. So which of these might be cool for them to encounter along the way? Right, so they're traveling through Coppervein. They come to one of the chunks of the fungoid earth and meteorite. I think like some Abolithic Thralls, one of whom, or who burst open into Insatiable Broods. That's fun. Kind of like Alien. Can't go wrong with something like Alien. So our plan was that there would be a aboleth who runs over all of this stuff. The question is, do these Insatiable Broods, we're going to do a sand aboleth. And I think we could still do that. That the Satyr work for. They are mindful. They're not thralls of the aboleth. They can speak to it, but they have independent minds. And the name of the local ruler was what? I had a name that they would, people were speaking Din, sand aboleth. Other local or native humanoids are turned into thralls of Din. Some abolithic thralls are infested with, what are they called? Insatiable broods, who gestate in their bodies and then burst out. Some of them become satyr. So now we've got like an ecology for these guys. Entrance into the Colosseum. We'll have to decide what we're going to do with that. Friends, I'm going to take a quick break. I will be back in just a couple of minutes. I am back. Let's see, we'll go to notes. One thing that might be kind of interesting when they travel to Coppervein and they come to the meteorite and there's abolithic thralls, there could be just to kind of set up a situation, a couple of people of the sands hold off abolithic thralls. So we could have some, there's a situation going on there. That's kind of interesting. So other secrets. Satyr have independent minds from their local ruler. So let's see. The meteor crashed. A fungus grew. It spawned broods who gestated in humanoids and became satyr. A queen brood became Din. These void beings, let's see, the followers Din worship. So they have a god too. So we're looking at the Labyrinth book by Kobold Press. This just recently came out, and I think they specifically have void gods, a god of the void here, who I think might be kind of fun for could be the black goat. But Nidhogg is a god worshipped by a tear. But boy, the black goat is definitely a chewer of the world tree, eater of the dead. So we could do, so Nidhogg is a sort of dragon god, but I think we're going to do the black goat, piper of the midnight sun, father of mayhem. I'm going to change that to like father of the midnight sun. It's a great picture. Also known sometimes as the black goat. So they might find shrines to the black goat. Except the black goat is not actually native to the void. Because there's a fayish. So the black goat was once an elven goddess named Hana. It's a fun little bit of lore. That's good enough. What other secrets do we have? So we have the secret about Jedva Steelthorn, wizard king of goblins, ruled over Coppervein hundreds of years ago. Let's see, half a century, half a millennia ago. And he who loved the games and built the Colosseum to bring together the people of the region and avoid conflict. Jedva was highly regarded, was loved by his people and interred beneath the Colosseum. It's said traveled across the lands with his magical helmet gifted to him from the gods, from long lost gods. Is there any other secrets? So I think we can put in a couple secrets about the region itself. So Coppervein was originally a goblinoid settlement and mining city. The dragon Empire destroyed it 400 years ago. The Dragon Empire used the arena for blood sport until a meteor. Bloodsport in dark ceremonies, and priests used it for dark ceremonies. During one of these fell rituals, a meteor crashed down. The Dragon Empire left it alone ever since. I think that's good enough. That's plenty of secrets. Great big pile of secrets. Okay. So we have our fantastic location array, the fungoid, earth, and meteorite of the void. But we now need to take a look at, and we will pop up on the map for this. Whoops. Let's see, we'll do these in date order. So this is going to be our dungeon that they're going to crawl through. I am not going to, so I think I have a printout of this, but just to be sure, I'm going to open this up. Print me a copy. So this is both a tomb and the trap rooms beneath the arena. It's funny, I actually have used this map before. I like this map a lot. But instead of like annotating every single thing on here, I am just going to list a handful of rooms starting at the south and working my way up. So we have trap rooms. There's more like ideas, right? So instead of like filling out every single room, because there's a lot of rooms here, I'm instead going to give myself a bunch of ideas in a list, and then I can kind of scan through these ideas and drop them in wherever I feel like they make sense. So like tapestries of great contests, contestant hot tubs. That's that area on the right. Pillars carved into goblinoid and humanoid heroes. And we'll just say heroes. We probably have, so they, let's see, we'll have some draconic blood sport props. These are your big bladed pillars and your other things like that. Then the tomb portion of this is probably in the northern area. So like tombs of heroes we have back here. Ossuary, artifact chambers. What other? And then we will fill these with our alien void folk. So like, you have the texture of what this place was and then what's going on there now, which is, moss and slime breeding grounds and stuff like that for the brood. I think we could just call them the brood. The trap room, tapestries. What other? Let's see, altars and shrines. Who would the goblins worship? Now let's go back to our god thing here and ask ourselves, like, who did the goblins worship? Serena Mara sounds like a fun god. Oh, it's a dark god. That's funny. God of war and thunder, battle and rebirth, patron of warriors. So Herek Mavros would be a Kartok the dreaming god. I don't know. I'll probably pull Midgard gods. Is there any other sort of chambers in here I need to worry about? I think that's probably a good list for now. I don't think I need that many. Notable NPCs, I believe I have already talked about in other parts of the thing. I'll probably, let's see, I'll drop a name for a couple of the people of the Sands. Katrine Ironclaw, a catfolk, and Bravis Nighthound. Let's see, Ironclaw's a catfolk, and Ironbound is a human. There we go. So I've got some NPCs here. Let's see, we'll bold their names to make them a little bit easier to see in my notes. We've got Bertram Gravetoes, who's the NPC. He's the mercenary. He's going to show up. I got my secrets, locations, look at that. The treasure list is so huge because of the spell book. I don't really know why I have that in my notes. I have that in my notes so that I can copy and paste it later. But these notes are pretty thin too. So I think we're all set though, right? I feel like I've got everything I need for today's game. I feel good about it. So we're gonna export that, and I bet I don't need to downscale it at all to get it to fit on a page. No, I do need to downscale it. All right, let's try again. There we go. Print that, and I got my notes for today's game. So I think we are all set. So, you know what I haven't done? It was one thing I failed to do. So we're gonna do a little bit of right now, which is next steps. I'm a ways away from having to worry about this really. But I want to start thinking about it now, which are what are the next things that the characters can get involved in. So after this, they will have the Helm of Teleportation. This is going to be a big difference in their ability. They can now move around. They can now move around easily. But what are they going to do? So once they've got the Helm of Teleportation, it's time for 3 new quests to go in front of them. I think when they return it's been long enough, their journey's been long enough that when they return to 440 Fingers, I think there will be a new Nurian agent there, a secret agent of Nuria Natal, who will have quests for them as well. When I first started this campaign, I dropped in some ideas for potential. I have like a research notes here. Is it in the research notes? No. I have a campaign notes section here. And I made a list of like adventure ideas, right? And I want to continue growing this list of adventure ideas, and then I can sort of expand across this and kind of pick the next 3. The example of the adventure ideas, and some of these I've already done: steal a treasure cache headed to one of the dragon treasuries, but make it look like someone else did it. So they could still be doing that, right? So the treasure cache, that, I put an X next to that because they've already stolen. They've already done this a couple of times, but I think they could do it again. And there could be like more stuff moving across one of the dragons. And the Nurian agent could be like aware, like, hey, there's another magic item that's making a way. You have to do that. Destabilize the armies headed to war with Nuria Natal. I kind of did that. It was instead destabilizing the armies that were headed northwest, but I don't think they need to do more of that. Hunt down artifacts capable of stirring or destabilizing the draconic rule. They're doing that like now. Set up a smuggling route. They did that. Find ancient artifacts valuable to the Dragon Empire before the Empire finds them. So there's always that opportunity. Hey, there's more stuff out there. Smuggle spies and agents into the Empire from other regions. So they kind of passed on that, but somebody else is doing that. Rescue rebels. So we're gonna move that to like a done. I'm gonna have like a done category. I'll keep them around just in case I decide I want to, build off of them again. Rescue rebels from draconic imprisonment. I think that might be kind of fun. That the Nurian agents is like, hey, there's a group that got captured, and we'd like to go rescue them because they can be valuable. They're really, we sent them in here. They're really skilled, and they'd be very good at destabilizing things. Discover old caches of treasure from the previous sultans or sultanas. Dethrone and delegitimize local Tamarli and Ermanli lords and governors. Capture and destroy resources intended to fuel the war machine. Assassinate the dread. Then I added some today. Assassinate the dread sultan, which is probably a little ways off. Kill Adisha, who's one of the 2 mores. Kill Ibelin. Smuggle Parsis' son out of the Dragon Empire. So this is kind of an idea I've got that Parsis is one of the 3 dragons, but Parsis is actually not against the removal of the empire, and once his son smuggled out and would become an ally otherwise. Recover a dragon slaying weapon and find the ancient magic said to slay dragons. Magic spells, right? I was thinking about spells said to slay dragons. So they'll probably be like 8th level or so. So I think like the higher, I almost want to break these up into sort of like mid-tier campaign adventures and high-tier. And, killing Adisha and Ibelin are high-tier adventures. Assassinating the Dread Sultan is a high-tier adventure, I think. Smuggling Parsis' son out of the Dragon Empire is probably mid-tier. The Dragon Slaying, I think a lot of the rest of these are mid-tier. So their goal is to break the Dragon Empire, right? The ultimate goal is to shatter the Dragon Empire, right? Have the Dragon Empire no longer an empire. And the way to do that might not be killing the dragons. The way to do that might instead be getting the dragons to stop themselves. Now, a big one is, killing Marat and making it and placing blame on the other dragons would be a great way to shatter the empire. In some cases, the dragons being dead is not the answer. The dragons fighting each other is the answer, right? That's the trick, is you may not face these dragons. You may just get the dragons to blame each other to the point where they break their alliance. But I think if we're going to, I'm going to do a little section here called Next 3 Quest. And let's see, we're going to have a group of Nurian, saboteurs, what are they called? Insurgents, I guess. They're called the North Runners, the Ghost Runners. What do we call them? Just picking names out of my thing here. Oh, we'll call them the North Runners. So break the North Runners out of captivity. Where? So we can go to our locations, random locations database. An acidic temple, or there's a temple or a pyramid. They've already done a step pyramid. We could do a temple to, let's see, we'll go to Midgard. Pick a temple to one of the dragon gods. So there's Velis, who is one of the, the king dragon god. That's the world serpent. Azeron, and there's 3 different sort of versions of Azeron. There's Baal, Kesbatan, and Segatan. They've been to one temple of Baal before. And is there a region, what region of the Dragon Empire would make sense? Do we want to have another temple to Baal? But Baal makes a good, there's lots of sacrifices to Baal. I thought that in the Dragon Empire, there are other priests who operate here. The Blood Mages of Kanash. So we're going to do it at the Blood Mages of Kanash. Kanash is actually not in this region. Well, yeah, so what's interesting, they have a helm of teleportation now, so they could probably get places. Anyway, I don't need to fill that out completely, but I've got that. So that's one element. Smuggling and protecting a draconic, smuggling and protecting their Monley noble's son out of the Dragon Empire and into Nuria could be another one. And that's actually the son of Parsis. So it's actually a son of one of the dragons, which could be kind of interesting. Is there another, the recovery of a dragon slaying weapon? Is it time for that? And where would that weapon be held? Probably in one of the cities. It would be kind of fun to go to one of the cities. So there's the city of Mazar. So there's 3 possible quests. I can kind of fill these out as I go. I need to just kind of keep them in mind. But what I want to be thinking about is like, okay, what are the possible quests that they could be going on that take them in the direction of destabilizing the empire? Oh, another mid-tier is recover the former Sultana of the Dragon Empire. Kidnap and recover. Whether she's willing or not is a question, right? She was the former ruler of the Dragon Empire, and she was deposed by the current Dread Sultan. And them having her means that they would have the person who is potentially the legitimate emperor of the Dragon Empire. And they could, if they can convince her to be on their side, then that could destabilize the empire as well. So those are some general ideas. All right. But I've got enough for today's game. Friends, I want to thank you for hanging out with me today while I prepared for my game. If you enjoyed this show and you want to get more stuff like this, the best way to do so is subscribe to the Sly Flourish newsletter. There is a link down in the show notes. It is absolutely free to sign up. You get a weekly RPG-related email sent to your email inbox, along with a free Adventure Generator PDF. You can also support me directly on Patreon. Patrons get access to the Lazy Artisanal database, or the 5e Artisanal database, which you can see down below. That's what I've been using to kind of generate stuff for my game. You get access to all kinds of tips, tricks, adventures, scenarios, another dedicated podcast, and more for becoming a patron of Sly Flourish. It's very, very reasonably priced. And you can pick up any of my books, including Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, The City of Arches, Forge of Foes, and more at the Sly Flourish bookstore. Links for all of those are in the show notes. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and get out there and play an RPG.